Hey guys, Brazen Blade Mango here. Let's talk about Days Gone. So Days Gone is the latest game from Sony Interactive Entertainment, who are, of course, responsible for a number of magnificent games that have come out this generation, including, Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Bloodborne, the list goes on and on of stuff that they've made this year that's been so good, or at least have published. Of course, the studios behind them are the ones that make the game, but these are the guys that consistently, for the past 5 years, with the exception of the oddball like Drive Club and the Order 1886, have been making games exclusives that have just knocked it out of the park each and every time. They keep adding jewels to their crown that they have like firmly on their head this generation, and unfortunately Days Gone is not one of them, because Days Gone is just not very good, and it makes me sad, because even though I wasn't necessarily looking forward to this game, I've always been cautiously optimistic about it, because at the very peak of my interest in this game, I thought this game was going to be something that it turned out not to be, because in the very first trailer they ever showed, and I'm talking like the very first time we got a glimpse of this game, the trailer didn't have a single zombie in sight. It was just this emotional monologue from the main character talking about the memories of his dead, or assumed to be dead wife, and how the world went to shit. And it was intercut with these sequences of, him riding on the open world and the shots of the wilderness and stuff like that. And it looked really good. And I thought, holy shit, this actually is making me somewhat emotional. And it's a game that I have no idea what this is even about yet. And I want to see more. But then it was revealed to be a zombie game, which it's like, another zombie game? Okay. Oh, there are World War Z zombies that are like feral animals that are just crawling on top of one another? Oh, okay. And it's a shooter survival open world? Okay. So, even at the best, like the best marketing this game ever got, I've always been very skeptical about it, especially recently, because it's had like 2 or 3 delays. It's been in development for 6 years. None of the footage that I ever saw from it really blew me away, not to the extent of like something like The Last of Us Part 2 or the God of War or anything like that. And I bought it more out of my loyalty to Sony Interactive Entertainment, who, of course, as you guys all know, who are like my home team, because I grew up playing PlayStation. I love PlayStation. I think they're great. I think they've been just killing it this generation with exclusives, just killing it, absolutely, just murdering the competition with their stuff. I think the only one that even comes close to rivaling Sony recently is just Nintendo, and even they've still got a little bit of groundwork ahead of them before they match Sony in my head. Certainly above whatever garbage Xbox has been spewing out this generation. It's like apples and oranges between the two. And when I finally downloaded Days Gone and started playing it, I was not impressed. The first 12 hours of this game, and I know it's a joke to say that, oh well, after 12 hours, after like, I think it was that Polygon article or some article that said, oh, Assassin's Creed Odyssey gets good after 40 or 30 hours or something stupid like that. I know it's a joke to say this, but Days Gone, once you get past its first 12 hours, it does start to hit a little bit of a compelling gameplay loop, a little bit, but fuck those 12 hours. They are rough. They are so rough. Not only just from a technical perspective, but from a gameplay perspective, because the shooting doesn't feel good with the shitty base weapons that you get, and the driving sucks, and managing your bike is annoying as shit. Like, they've talked a good line about how this bike is going to be like your best friend throughout the whole thing. I hate that bike. I still hate that bike, even after 35 to 40 hours spending with the game. And even once you upgraded the bike, I still hated it. I still thought it was just this giant nuisance that just I constantly had to worry about gas. I had to constantly worry about maintaining it. I had to worry about, oh, should I slow down on this downhill decline so I can save gas, or should I not worry about bumping into this little rock that'll send me flying off the fucking road, and then it will damage the bike, so then I have to waste precious resources to save the bike. And it's just like, oh my god, just stop. Stop getting in the way of my fun. What little fun I'm having, you're starting to ruin it here, guys. So, didn't really care for the storytelling all that much. All the characters except maybe his wife that's shown in flashbacks and Deacon St. John, I just did not give a shit. I was just like, who are you people? I don't care. I honestly, like, even now, after spending 30 to 40 hours, I can remember a few of the names of the people in this game, but most of them, I'm just like, who are you? Like, what's your name again? I don't remember. So the story is not all that impactful, unfortunately. Probably the most emotion I ever got out of the story was there's a scene where Deacon and his best buddy come across this village that's being attacked by the Ripper gang, who are these guys that like worship the zombies or the freakers or whatever. And they're hunting these like innocent, unaffected dogs for sport, like pet dogs that they're just hunting down and killing for no reason. And Boozer, Boozer, the Deacon St. John's friend, finds a dog that's like dying, and Deacon has to put the dog out of its misery. Now, I'm a dog guy. Okay, I don't like it when I hear dogs in pain. That's like an emotional trigger point for me. But the most emotion I ever got out of this game was Deacon having to like put this poor pet dog out of its misery by killing it. And then I felt like genuinely angry at these guys for like killing these sweet dogs, and then going out and shooting them and just yelling at my TV like, ah, you fuckers, die. That was the most rise that the game ever got out of me. Even when the game is like, you know, building up to its big emotional climaxes within the story, I just felt next to nothing in some of them. There's a few moments that I did like, that a little bit of a spark of something, but most of it's just kind of been there, done that with the storytelling. And the sad part with Days Gone is that I think it's deeply problematic in all three of the genres that it's hitting. Open world, survival, zombie game. I don't give a fuck what these things are called. These are zombies as far as I'm concerned. They're like the World War Z zombies. I don't care what these developers call them. Freakers or breakers or screamers or whatever the fuck you want to call them. They're zombies, okay? So let's start with the open world. And the biggest problem with the open world in this game is that it never should have been an open world game. Because, one, it doesn't get the pacing right. The pacing is all over the fucking place in this game. Two, it's not like a really detailed, handcrafted open world from the likes of Red Dead Redemption 2 or The Witcher 3. It presents this, it's like the Ubisoft school of open world design, where it just presents this like series of checklists and side quests that you have to do. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, you don't have to do them, but they will help you if you do them. And they are content. And there's a lot of stuff in this game. So if you're paying $60 for Days Gone for just the notion of, I want stuff in my video game. Doesn't matter of the quality, I just want stuff in my game. You're going to get plenty of stuff with Days Gone. But that to me is just all it is. It's just stuff. It's not memorable characters, it's not memorable side quests, it's not a really deep, engaging story, it's not like set pieces that I'm really gonna remember years later. It's just stuff. Nebulous content that is in the form of these checklists and completing these percentages. And then these percentages have sub-percentages that will tell you, oh, you're completing all this other stuff too. And it's like, okay, is that it? Is that all you got? And the game just never really finds a comfortable rhythm with its storytelling, because it's clearly trying to tell this emotional story. And even like in the best open world games, it's really difficult to establish some kind of pace with an open world game. Like, it really doesn't matter where it's like this traditional Skyrim problem where Skyrim keeps telling you, oh, you gotta go save the world. Oh, you gotta go defeat this dragon that will destroy the world. Oh, by the way, you don't have to. You can just go fuck around with butterflies or whatever for 5 hours or so. The dragon can wait. You can go fuck around with those butterflies. And I love Skyrim, by the way, so I'm not knocking Skyrim for that. It's just a traditional problem with these open world games in terms of structure and pacing. But unfortunately, Days Gone just doesn't find a good, comfortable rhythm with its storytelling. And the big problem with that is that it's really trying to sell you on this emotional story, or emotional in quotes. But it just never really clicks at all when you're surrounded by all this nebulous side content that just feels like open world the video game, where it's got the bandit camps. If I clear these, I will unlock fast travel points. Oh, if I go and find select amount of stuff, I can craft new weapons, a la Far Cry. Oh, if I clear out these zombies, I will get experience points that I will then use to upgrade my skill tree. So on and so forth. Every single idea that you've ever seen from a AAA open world action game, particularly an Ubisoft game, since the days of Far Cry 3, you have played Days Gone. Have you played Far Cry 3? Oh, you've played Days Gone. Have you played Assassin's Creed for the last couple years? You've played Days Gone. Have you played Watch Dogs? Or Watch Dogs 2? You've played Days Gone. And none of this really feels inspired or new. It's just the same shit that you've played before, time and time again with these open world games. And I think this is finally the point where I have reached the end of my patience for these large-scale open world AAA video games. I think Days Gone is a lot like an Ubisoft game, but without the obscene monetization that Ubisoft brings to the table each and every time. At least, like, for whatever I'm knocking Days Gone, at least it doesn't offer microtransactions. At the very least, it doesn't offer fucking booster packs or any of that bullshit. It's a straightforward, open-world, single-player video game. What you get in the package is what you get. It's not going to ask any more money from you. Unless you want the deluxe edition, of course. But that's better than fucking microtransactions. So that's the open world problem. Is that it should not have been an open world. This should have been a linear story-based game. Now, I'm not going to tell Ben how to do their job. I'm not going to tell them what they should and shouldn't be making. But it's just, the structure of it all just doesn't fit what it's trying to do. And I think the open-ended nature of it really hinders what little actually in the story that the game kind of gets right. Then you move on to the survival elements, which survival elements, like I said earlier, are fucking annoying. They're not fun. I am sick to death of games with stamina meters. Sometimes it works in games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne or whatever. In other games, like fucking Breath of the Wild is like a go-to example for me. I don't give a fuck how many Game of the Year awards that game won. Fuck that fucking stamina meter in Breath of the Wild, and fuck this bullshit ass stamina meter in Days Gone. If my fat ass can outrun this guy, even on his default stamina level, something is clearly wrong in your game. And it constantly just breaks the tension when you've run out of stamina and you're like, just kind of like trotting along when these like fucking hordes of zombies are running after you. It looks so stupid. It looks like a fucking farce every time it happens. And it just, rather than creating an engaging gameplay experience, it just constantly frustrates you. And I hated that. It just got so fucking annoying after a while. And the problem with Days Gone, especially with the survival elements, is that, like they said, oh, you're tied to your bike. Your bike is your best friend in this world. You and your bike are together the whole game. And it's like, so what? This bike sucks. You know, I'd rather ride a vehicle in a game than ride a horse. And I was always worried about the weapon degradation and the horse management in Red Dead Redemption 2. But they kept that shit to a bare minimum to where it became tolerable. It was like, okay, there are some elements of it in there, but they just don't get in the way of my fun. They don't get in the way of my fun. And that's all I ask for. If you want to have the survival elements in there, fine, but do not let it get in the way of my fun. In Days Gone, it constantly gets in the way of your fun, from your melee weapons breaking to you having a really low ammo count unless you buy yet another fucking magazine extender from this one camp that you got the weapon from. And the stamina meter sucks. The bike sucks. Having to waste resources on it sucks. Having to constantly scavenge the area to find beer bottles to make Molotov cocktails on. And if you have too many beer bottles and you don't have enough like rags or fucking kerosene, you gotta find those too. And it makes exploring not fun, because if you're looking for a specific thing in order to create an item that you need in order to do a side quest, you're constantly going to be met with disappointment. It just stops making the world fun to explore, because it's like, oh, well, I haven't found the thing that I wanted. And none of the environments in the game, besides like maybe one or two, are really all that memorable. Like, probably the only one I can think of is just like a Paul Bunyan statue. That's about it, I guess. Or a lumberjack statue. I don't know what the fuck it is. I think it's like a lumberjack statue or something. And the gas. Oh my god. I've never ridden a bike in real life before, okay? I'll be the first one to admit that. Or I've never ridden a motorcycle before in real life. Correction. I've ridden a bike before. But I'm pretty sure bikes are not the gas guzzlers in real life like they are in this game. Because on the even after you've upgraded your tank like 4 or 5 times in this, it uses a ridiculous amount of gas to get around in this game. Like, it is just, like, you can't even, like, on the default gas, you can't go less than a kilometer without going half empty. And it's like, what the fuck? I've gone, like, less than a fucking kilometer in this game, and I'm already being told, oh, your bike is at, like, 60%, 50% full tank. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sure that does not happen in real life. There is no way that that happens in real life. And having to constantly look down in the bottom right corner at how much fucking gas you have, and how, you know, how well repaired your bike is, and even if you hit like a bump in the road, it will like fucking like you, and there'll be some moments where it'd be necessary to like kind of like nitro over a bridge and then land back down from a midair jump, and that will damage your bike even though the game encourages you to fucking do it. It's just so annoying, and the bike handling is not very good. It's just like the most like slip and slidey fucking bike I've had since Ride to Hell Retribution. It's just, it's not fun. This bike, I hate it, and it doesn't even make sense in this world, because it's just like why are these people riding around on these noisy ass bikes when these fucking giant hordes of zombies are walking around? They're gonna fucking hear you, and they're gonna come running after your stupid ass to kill you. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it's just there like, oh, it looks cool. Okay, is it practical? No, it just looks cool. Okay. Finally, the third aspect of this game that just, I think, does not work are the zombies themselves, which I don't even think the zombies should have been in this game. I really don't. I don't mind that it's a post-apocalyptic game. I almost said Pocahontas game. I don't mind that it's a post-apocalyptic game, but the zombies feel like such an afterthought in this. They feel like they're just around as some kind of nuisance. Unlike The Last of Us, unlike the Telltale's The Walking Dead, the zombies to me never felt like a real tangible threat. They just felt like something that was kind of in the background and was just like, oh, it's these things. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to shoot them now. And your conflicts in the game, in the main campaign, they sometimes pop up. The zombies sometimes pop up as a threat, but mostly what you're dealing with throughout the game are like marauders and like the Ripper gang and rogue militia, stuff like that. There's a gang, a bike gang called the anarchists that pop up a little bit later. It's like you're mostly fighting these guys. And the zombies only come up every so often as a threat in the main campaign. Like, if they made this like a regular linear game with levels and shit, it would just be the same goddamn thing. It would just be like, oh, well, whatever, you're not fighting the zombies, you're fighting these guys. Oh, well. Shrug your shoulders and fight them. And the Horde, who are the most hyped up portion of this game, like the way they like compromise the graphical fluidity of this game. They're like, oh, we got to make these hordes work. These hordes are so important to the game, which are like the giant massive swarm of zombies that you fight. They're not all that fun to fight. They're kind of annoying, especially when you have to rely on the stamina meter and you have to rely on the game keeping a consistent frame rate, which even on a PS4 Pro does not happen. It's not fun to fight these hordes. Like, you fight them once and you're like, oh, okay, I've done that. But there's an entire sub-story dedicated to finding these hordes in the world and shooting them and fighting them. It's just, it's annoying fighting them. And even in this main campaign, you're forced to fight them at a couple points. And it's just, it's not fun. And the rewards that you get for it are so minuscule. And it's so annoying having to constantly fight the stamina meter and having to fight the glitchy AI and the terrible frame rate problems that this game has. The hordes are honestly the most disappointing part of this game, because I felt like this game was turned into a zombie game just to justify the horde's existence. They just had a cool idea for like these World War Z zombies, and then they just kind of built the whole game around this idea of it, and it just doesn't. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable fighting these guys. Which, speaking of frame rate problems, holy Jesus, we gotta talk about the technical aspect of this game. Which is shocking, coming from a publisher like Sony, who this generation have been known for like mostly really, really damn fine, well-optimized games. With the odd duck here and there, like Drive Club didn't work the way it was supposed to. Bloodborne has bad frame pacing issues on base PS4, and even now it kind of does. All the other games have been really nice to look at and run at a rock solid frame rate. You know, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Infamous Second Son, Uncharted 4, and all these games, they look gorgeous. They're like top tier, best in their class graphics that look incredible, and they run at a really nice frame rate. Well, this game, it is not the prettiest game I've ever seen. I think the facial animations are very nice at points, but the lighting in it, there's like this dynamic weather system that's like comically, like you'll walk into a camp when it's like snowing, it's like dead of winter, you'll walk back out like a minute later and it's like middle of spring, and it's like it instantly just changed seasons on your ass. It's like, what the fuck? The lighting, the first time I saw like a dynamic like shift in lighting through the trees, I literally saw like blotches of pixels within the lighting, which I thought just took me out of it completely. It looked fucking terrible. The zombie AI, the human AI is terrible. The enemies in this game are so stupid, and their line of sight is so bad. I could not believe that I got away with some of the shit that I did in this game. Just standing out in the open, and these guys would just kind of go, huh, oh, there's someone there. And they would just continually just move in this such broken AI pathfinding pattern. It's just, oh my god, like, ay, ay, ay. I didn't, and the bugs, holy fuck, the bugs in this game. Right, so here's a laundry list of the glitches and the bugs I've encountered in this game. Okay, I've had the game, like, I've had melee weapons that I've crafted fall through the floor and I can never recover them. I've had weather change on me in the blink of an eye. I've had the game's pause button being rendered unusable. Like, I literally could not pause the game. I've had it to where the game wouldn't save. I've had it to where I couldn't open a door to progress through a main mission. Thankfully, it was fixed by restarting the game. I've had blotchy lighting. I've had characters that walk off when they're supposed to walk to my bike to get on them. And, like, it goes on and on. Like, I haven't had a single play session of this game go 100% smooth in the 35 to 40 hours that I've poured into this game. Every single time, I've had bugs, glitches, and terrible frame rate issues where I've had the game literally stop as well for 3 to 5 seconds. I'm not talking about to load. I'm talking about it just stops. It stops dead in its tracks for 3 to 5 seconds, and then it will just start again. Thankfully, I've never had any hard crashes. Never had any hard crashes, but just these, like, constant, and I've had it where I've, like, in the span of a minute, I've had, like, 3 to 4 of these where the game will just stop for 3 to 5 seconds, and it'll go. Keep going. Frame rate hitch, frame rate hitch, frame rate hitch. Stop. 3 to 5 seconds. Go. And this game, with those last 3 bugs that I mentioned, like in my list, where it wouldn't save, I couldn't pause the game, and I couldn't get through a door to progress through a main mission, that happened, all 3 of those happened to me at once, at one point in the game. I shit you not. I couldn't progress through a door to complete a main mission, I couldn't save, and I couldn't pause the game. And I lost like 35, 40 minutes of progress because of that. And I was livid. I was ready to, like, stop playing the game then and just record my rant and tell you guys not to buy it. But I restarted it and I kept playing. And I put in like a couple more hours since then. And when you get to the first third of this game, a lot of the problems are there with the frame rate issues, which are bad. Then you get to the middle portion of the game, which honestly aren't that bad. The bugs seemingly, like, magically are kind of reduced to a little bit of a minimum during the last, the middle third of the game. But it's when you reach the last third of it, when all the problems with this game start to just fucking, like they pull out a dump truck and just dump all the frame rate problems and the bug problems and the glitch problems that this game has right on your head, where it just says, alright, fucker, deal with it, and then just drives off. There are camps that you visit in the final third of this game that have a lot of activity in them, and you encounter a lot of hordes on the side of the road as well. Now, the hordes are already bad enough to where they slow the game down, and the frame rate dips, and it hitches, and it does not look good, and it hurts my eyes to play it. Couple that with the environment details, and the weather effects that are popping in the game. That slows it down even more. Coupled down with the AI enemy, not just enemy, but AI activity in the background in one of these camps, then you have a recipe for a fucking frame rate disaster. Because the game will just hitch to a crawl even when you're just turning the camera to look at a 90-degree angle. It made my eyes hurt looking at it, and I went, holy shit, what in the fuck were Sony thinking putting this game out when they did? This is shameful. This is a game that never should have come out in this state. Even after 5 fucking patches, 5 since it came out, this game runs like crap in key areas. I don't know if Sony finally were just like, fuck it, push it out. We need to get this shit out there. I don't know if they just, and they've been really good with giving studios the time that they need to polish the game up. Like, they gave Uncharted 4 a whole, like, another couple months so they could polish the game. They gave God of War another month so they could polish the game. They're not EA. They're not Activision. They're not a company that's like, we need to meet these this like quarterly financial goal here so it can look good to our shareholders. They're not like that. But in this case, I think it was just them saying, fuck it. You guys have had 6 years to do this. Push this shit out now. We'll patch it later. Which is really, which is like such a shit stain on Sony's underwear when it comes to this. They've had a mostly clean underpants this generation, but they shit the fucking bed when it comes to Days Gone and the technical state that it's in. My God, does it run poorly at points. It's so bad. Like, even just on that basis alone, never mind the quality of the game, on that basis alone of its technical state, I can't recommend Days Gone to anybody. Not until they seriously, and I played this thing on a fucking PS4 Pro, not until they seriously patch this game. And I'm talking dramatically patch it to where it runs smooth as butter and doesn't have frame rate hitches and whatever. Then we can begin to have the conversation of whether or not it's worth your money. But just right there, just that stopgap, like, no, I do not recommend Days Gone at fucking all, just on the tactical performance of this game alone. It is terrible. It's shoddy at best, and absolutely literally painfully dreadful at worst. And that's disgusting coming from Sony. Sony should be fucking ashamed of themselves for pushing this thing out when it did. 'Cause it's not ready. It needed at least another fucking 6 months in the oven to bake, to get all the patches, to get all the fucking fixes ready for this thing. It's not ready. It's not ready whatsoever to come out onto the market. Not at fucking all. So, that's even it'd be one thing if it was a great game, okay? It'd be one thing if it was a great game that's like hidden underneath these like technical problems. But, nah, man, like Days Gone is just okay at best. It's an okay time waster of a game, because there is something in there that is a somewhat compelling gameplay loop. Hell, even after all the bullshit that I dealt with the technical state, I still kept playing it. There is something in there, but it's just surrounded by all these problems and all these caveats and all these key design missteps that just make it just a low tier time waster. I'm thinking like the decent time wasters are like, I don't know, like the Ubisoft games. They're like, honestly, like I don't play Ubisoft games anymore. I rarely play Ubisoft games anymore. But I would rather pick up Assassin's Creed Odyssey than play through Days Gone again. I gotta be honest here. I'd rather pick up fucking what is it, Watch Dogs 3 or whatever the rumored one that's coming out this year? Watch Dogs 3, I think that's coming out. I'd rather play Watch Dogs 3 than Days Gone. I loved Watch Dogs 2. I almost said I loved the first one. The first one's god awful. But Watch Dogs 2, I love Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 3, I'm doing. Days Gone is just like a lower tier time waster. I can't even believe that this came from PlayStation. I really have a hard time believing that, because it looks like an Ubisoft game, just with the tactical state that it's in. So, just flat out right there, just with the tactical state, do I recommend Days Gone? Fuck no. Fuck no. Don't buy it. Do not buy it. And even once they patch all the stuff out, even once they get it like working properly, it's still not even worth it at $60 in my opinion. It's something that you rent for a weekend and you play it. You maybe don't even finish it. You just go, oh, well, that was a decent way to kill some time. And then you just throw it away. It's one of these condom games. You use it, you maybe have fun with it, you just take it out and just throw it away. It's a condom game. Okay? That's what it is. Which is disappointing, because it comes from PlayStation, who have been releasing one giant hit after another. And Days Gone just does not deserve to be in the same league. Doesn't even deserve, like, quote, Pulp Fiction, doesn't even deserve to be in the same fucking sport as something like Horizon Zero Dawn, or or God of War, or Bloodborne, or Infamous Second Son, or Uncharted 4, or hell, even like the lesser ones like Until Dawn, or others, like Detroit, and all the crap that I talked about Spider-Man. Hey, you know what? At least Spider-Man fucking functioned properly. At least Spider-Man didn't give me a fucking headache playing it. At least it didn't release in an unbelievably shoddy technical state. And I hate to say this too, but as bad as the Order 1886 was, hey, at least the Order 1886 didn't have frame rate issues like this. So, yeah, that's Days Gone for you. It is a really unbelievably shoddy game from PlayStation that, even if it was technically proficient, would still just be a mediocre time waster. So that's Days Gone. A mediocre time waster. Made even worse by the absolutely dreadful technical state that it released in. What a shame. Alright, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about Days Gone if you played it. And as always, have a good one, everyone. Take care.